Welcome back to Showband Stories. And just to remind you that my guest this week is Shaun O'Dowd. Well, not too far down the road, the first time I ever saw you was in Caricature in the Ormond Ballroom.
Yes.
And I have to say, I was waiting, I had heard about this fabulous singer that was with Tony Collins, and Tony Collins had some great musicians in the band.
Yeah, he had.
And the first thing that struck me when I saw you, this man has the biggest hair I've ever seen in my life.
Is that what you remember?
That's the first thing, because before you sang a note, I was impressed. I thought, this guy.
That's a great thing.
High boots.
I would have had, yeah. I would. I always had there weren't platforms, there were Beatle boots really then, but I would progress onto platforms when the glam rock thing came in. That was with my own band now. That was, but with Tony Collins. But I would have had the big hair then, yeah.
Yeah, the big hair, yeah.
The big hair, yeah.
Glamour was a big thing, wasn't it?
Glamour, yeah.
The bands, a lot of the bands.
Yeah.
And I have to say, when you see somebody like that, you think, that guy must have an awful big head. He's just seriously conceited people, you know. Yeah. Were you?
No.
Were you full of yourself, Shaun? I mean, you were a singer.
Well, let's see, was I full of myself? I was fond enough of myself now, I'll admit it now, yeah. I knew I was, limited enough in looks and limited enough in talent, and I tried to make the best of what I had. I really did, but I was always like that. I always wanted to bring the best out in myself and in other people as well if I could. But was I conceited? Probably a little bit, for no reason. I shouldn't have been.
Well, whatever reservations we had, I remember being at the Musicians Union dinner dance at the Christmas. It was Christmas around, it must have been Christmas of 1970, or you were now gone into, were you doing some cabaret or something?
I was doing it in the Green Hills in Limerick, yeah.
And I thought you did a medley, and it stuck out, and my still does. You did 2 songs when you came out, and now you had to impress all of the musicians who were at the musicians' dinner dance. And I thought, how is he going to pull this off? He did a Glenn Campbell medley of 2 songs. More was one of them, and Somewhere was it. Absolute.
Oh, good God. Yes, I remember.
Stunning medley.
And in that band then would have been Liam Foley on guitar, who had come from Tony Collins.
Great guitar.
And Gerard Baggett on drums. And Terry Fitzgerald was a female singer, and I was a singer. And we had a tiny little PA, but we knew how to work it.
Shaun, the Showband era was winding down.
Yes.
And you did something absolutely amazing. You bucked the trend. After all of the years of being in a band that was doing reasonably well in certain areas, you formed a band and you went straight to the top. And as I said early on in the programme, you were perhaps the last of the big show bands.
Yeah, I suppose we were ourselves. The champions were in at the end. We were in at the end. I started in 75, finished in 86, but the biggest years I would have had would be 78, 79, 80, 81, 80. We got so big for a short period of time, not like the other show bands. The other show bands had a longer spell. We had about 3 big years, and in that 3 big years we played to 10,000 people a week for 50 weeks of the year. Paddy O'Connell, Lord of Mercy, and our manager kept the diaries, and I know that that's true. I wouldn't tell a lie about that. And Louis Walsh asked me, he said, "Can you prove that?" I said, "Yes, I can. We have the figures and the diaries." And he said, "I need to show them to Westlife," he says, "because they wouldn't believe it."
Tell me about how you got into Tony Collins' band, because that's pretty unusual.
Like I say, my mum wasn't well, and I was looking for an opportunity to get home. And he was on tour in England, and he saw me with Lee Lynch's band, with the Blue Angels. I was with Lee Lynch for a while. Yeah. And Tony Collins saw me and he said, "Where are you from, young fella?" And I said, "I'm from Carrick-on-Shannon. What's your name?" I said, "Shaun O'Dowd." He said, "Did you ever think of coming back to Ireland?" I said, "I would if I got a job." And 6 months later, I got a letter from my parents to say that there was a man from Askeaton in County Limerick looking for me, and would I come home for an audition. Yeah. And I said, I will if he pays my fare home. So I came home on the boat, I suppose, and got down from Dublin somewhere or another, and borrowed my dad's car and went to the audition. And the audition was in Gerty Madden in County Galway, in a marquee. And 2 people turned up for the audition, myself and another guy. And we sat on a bench in the marquee in the middle of the day because it was an audition. And the band were set up on stage. And the stages in the marquees were always a little bit rocky because they weren't permanent fixtures, you know. Yeah. And so he said, which of you wants to go first? He said. So the guy from Waterford said, yeah, I'll go first. So I said, great. So he went up and he sang, and I remember the songs he sang. He sang My Prayer, he sang Please Release Me, Let Me Go, and he sang Danny Boy.
All right. 3 big songs.
3 big songs. And he was brilliant. Then he bent down and opened his trumpet case and took out a trumpet and proceeded to blow a beautiful piece on the trumpet. And I said to myself, go home. You're goosed. This guy is brilliant. So he finished his audition, he came down. The silence now, you see. You sing in the silence, which is strange.
Because you're expecting some kind of
You're expecting a little bit of something, but it's just cold and silent. And so on my way up, I said, do not sing a slow song. Do not sing a slow song. So I came up on the stage. He says, he didn't even know my first name. He said, young fella, what do you want to sing? And I said, I'll sing a bit of rock and roll, because I knew that Donny Collins' band played rock and roll from the early days of Johnny Grant. And
so the musicians were going to enjoy this.
Yeah. So I remember I said to myself, go flat out now. And I sang Jerry Lee Lewis, Whole Lot of Shaking Going On. And I remember at one stage, I was hopping on the floor, and I remember Austin Graham holding on to the speaker that was swinging over and back on the stage like that. And the stage was bouncing. And it finished, you know, and I was all action, flat out, and stopped, and there's silence. You know, and you feel a bit of a twit because you're putting on your show just to an empty room,
it's kind
an
of
empty marquee.
Unnatural, isn't it?
And, yeah, and it's unnatural. So there's silence. And he said, what else do you sing? I said, I sing a song, if you know it, you might know it. I said, called Big Time Operator. Zoot Money and the Big Roll Band.
I remember it.
And they knew it. They knew it.
Was that a bit of a plan, was it? Did you think?
No, I swear I didn't know they knew it, but I just took a chance on it. And then he said to me, sing a slow song. And I remembered the first record I ever heard at home. We had a little record player, and I used to listen in the sitting room. This was scratching around, and it was Hank Williams singing a song called You Win Again.
Beautiful song.
Right? And I said to myself, I know that song, so I'll sing it. And I said to him, I don't sing slow songs, but I'll sing this. So I sang You Win Again.
Would you sing?
Will I remember it?
Would you give it a go? Because
I should remember it because
I've got this vision in my of this audition.
Yes. Yeah. Can you picture it?
I can.
Because you understand. You see. Yeah. I remember I kind of knew what key I'd be singing that kind of a song in, and they started off the song, and I sang it, and it was probably okay.
Let's hear it now.
I'll try it.
Shaun O'Dowd with his audition song, You Win Again.
The news is out all over town that you've been seen here running round, and I know that I should leave, but then what can I do? You win again. You have no heart, you have no shame, and you take true love just trust in you. It was my great sin. What can I do? You win again. Play it, Tony. I'm sorry for your victim now, for soon his head like mine will bow. You know he'll give you his heart, but all in vain. And what can he do? 'Cause you'll win again. You have no heart, whoa, you have no shame, and you take true love, oh, you give the blame, and just trust in you. It was my great sin. What can I do? You win again. What